one hell of a guest, Jeremy.
Indeed we do.
We got 9-time WWE Tag Team Champion, Hall of Famer, backstage producer, legend, all-around legend. And there's just one thing I have to say to you.
Oh yeah? What's that?
Get the tables.
What are you telling me to get the tables, man? Man, I'm emancipated, okay? You don't tell us 2021. You don't tell a person like me to get the tables. You go get your own table. And not only that, the table's right there. And why you got that belt? Why you got that belt? You ain't a champion. You didn't earn that. Put the belt down. Put the belt down. Suck in your gut and try and be a professional for a change, because we got the one and only D-VON Dudley. So let's get right into it.
All right, let's do it. D-VON, welcome to the show, man. Huge honor. Thank you for being here. And what's going on? How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm just relaxing and just taking a day in.
That's great to hear. You know, we're such big fans of yours. We're big fans of the Dudley Boyz. You know, we're kind of like the Dudleys here. You know, we're a three-man unit. You know, he's kind of like the Bubba Ray of the group. You know, he's got a lot of bark and a little bit of bite to back it up.
That could be bad.
Ray.
Yeah, maybe we could call you Blubber Ray. That's
Blubber
a good
Ray.
name for you. You know, we got our man who upset this up, Frank Jofo. He's kind of like the little Spike Dudley. You know, what he lacks in size, he makes up for in toughness. And then you got me, who I guess I'm kind of like the D-VON of the group. I'd say I'm like a mix of yourself, D-VON, and maybe like Big Dick Dudley. You know, put us all together, and you kind of get me, the one who does all the heavy lifting for the team.
Well, I mean, I guess you could say I did do all the lifting for the team.
Yeah,
Bubba did a lot of the talking.
But that's what made you guys so great, is that you complemented each other. I would say the greatest tag team of all time, and I mean that you know, objectively, because you guys were tag team champions pretty much everywhere you went, and you guys really trailblazed for tons of teams in so many ways. And I look forward to, you know, diving right into that and helping our fans to learn a little bit more about your legacy in this business. With that said, one of the first things I wanted to touch on, because it was quite a big story, is your health. First of all, can you give us an update on how you're feeling these days?
Yeah, I mean, I feel great. I mean, it was a little scare. I had a stroke November 12th. WWE had sent me to LA. I was on the NBC shoot for the Punky Brewster television show that's coming back out now. That was an 80s show. Now it's coming back. Punky's all grown up, and it was great. They wanted me to choreograph and help produce Alexa Bliss and Charlotte, who was going to make an appearance on the show. Oh, wow. And so I flew down there, and that's what I was down in California for. And the day of the shooting, I got up to go to the bathroom. I couldn't feel my legs. I had no idea that I was having a stroke. No clue. I mean, I wasn't in pain or nothing. And I kind of tried to get out of bed, and I fell. And I tried to crawl my way to the bathroom. I didn't want to pee on myself. And so I guess I tried to get up onto the toilet, couldn't do it. And then my phone started ringing. It was my wife, and I tried to crawl back over there to answer the phone, and it stopped ringing. And all of a sudden called again. I picked up. I was able to get to it the second time, and that's what I told her what was going on. And she said, "You could be possibly having a stroke." I said, "There's no way. I'm too young to have a stroke." And come to find out that no, anybody can get a stroke. And sure enough, when the ambulance came and they came to get me, and they put me on a gurney, and they said, "Yeah, you're having a stroke." And I was like, wow. I mean, I was taken back by it. But for the most part, I'm doing great. I did lose, I'm going to say I was at 30 to 35% on my left side. That was it. And now, after physical therapy and doing so many other things, I'm now back at 85, almost 90%. So I'm almost back to normal again. And it's incredible how fast, you know, it took for me to kind of turn around, because it only happened 4 months ago.
Wow.
Most people that have strokes, it lasts a long time.
And I know that, for example, Bret the Hitman Hart suffered a stroke several years back. And I remember reading about that. And he had said that he felt that one of the things that helped him rebound so quickly was that he always stayed in great shape, that it was difficult at first, but it definitely helped him get there. Do you feel that the fact that, you know, you've always been an athlete contributed to how quickly you could rebound from that?
Absolutely. I mean, even after I, you know, retired and became a producer backstage, there's always that notion in the back of your mind that, you know, Vince might call you, so you got to be in the best possible shape you could be in. And, you know, I had to make a couple appearances on a Raw and SmackDown. And thank God I stayed in shape. I think, again, that was one of the things that I think really helped speed up the recovery, was the shape that I was in. And now I'm just trying to get back to that way of being like I used to be, trying to get my size back, that intimidating factor, and just trying to just be me again. That's the whole thing. But, you know, WWE has allowed me to be home and rest and take it easy. And they said as soon as I get back to 100%, I'm more than welcome to come back.
That's great.
Yeah, WWE has been great. They've, you know, called to check. Vince called me. I think he FaceTimed me. I was in the shower, and I basically got to my phone. I was like, "Oh, Vince called," and I called him back. He didn't answer. But then my days were so confused, so messed up, that I can't tell nowadays if it's Friday or Thursday or what. Because when you don't go to work for this long period of time, and all you do is stay home, you kind of forget the days of the week. So I think it was Monday night when he made this phone call. So like I said, I tried to call him back. He didn't answer. He got busy. So I texted him, and I said, "Hey, sorry I missed your call." I said I was in the shower. I was like, he texted me back in his Vince voice. I can tell. He's just like, ha ha. He's like, "Good thing I didn't answer the phone, huh? Good thing you didn't answer the phone, huh?" And of course, I'm always Johnny come late. I'm thinking, I was like, yeah, you're right. Thank God for you. I didn't answer the phone. But God, I had so many things that I was going to say now that I think about it. I was like, damn, I missed it. I missed the opportunity to throw in the joke, a good one, to get him. So I can get that, ha, ha, ha. You're funny, D-VON. Real funny.
Like, sorry, I was going to answer, but I had to get the towels. So, so I wanted to ask you, because one of the things that I was reading and hearing when I was doing my research for this, there was talks of Dudley Boyz 2.0 with yourself and Apollo Crews. I heard that you wanted to work with Apollo, which would have been amazing.
I wanted to work with Apollo, and I mean, there was so many other guys I wanted to work with. Bubba went his way, and I stayed with WWE. And I wasn't ready to become a producer. I didn't want to become a producer. I still wanted to wrestle. And when I was told no, that they wanted me as a producer and not as talent, I was like, all right. So I took the job, which I am today, still a producer. I, you know, was hearing, you know, certain rumblings that, you know, Apollo needed to really step it up and, you know, really go out there and really give it his all. And he probably needs somebody to give him that little push. And I just remember I volunteered. I said, let me do it. I said, I'll do it. I said, let me tag with Apollo and, you know, help him out. Just like when Bautista was with me, did the same thing with him. And so many other guys that I've tagged with over the years, other than outside of Bubba, you know, I've helped out. So I figured it would be a great thing to do. And I was told no. So they put him with Titus O'Neil in that little group Titus had.
Titus Worldwide.
Titus Worldwide, yeah. And so the opportunity was like gone. I was like, damn. I think me and Apollo could have did so much, so many great things together, but they said no.
And I think one thing that a lot of fans don't realize is that you're still young by today's wrestling standards. I mean,
absolutely.
You're not even 50 yet. And I know that
no, I'm not.
Sometimes on TV, when you see someone over a long period of time, you kind of assume that, you know, they're a lot older than they are. But I mean, to put that into perspective, you're still younger than someone like Chris Jericho, who we see going strong week after week, you know, on AEW. You're still not too far off in age from R-Truth, if I'm not mistaken. I think maybe, you know, year or two age difference between you guys. So, you know, you still got some prime years that you could still be given to the company. And I definitely think a lot of the younger generation could benefit from your years of experience and having someone like you in their corner.
Well, I looked at it no different than when APA got together. You know, Bradshaw was in WWE and his gimmick, I mean, it was good, but it just wasn't getting to where I guess the company needed him to be at, and you know, they put Farouk with him, and APA is born, and it gave Bradshaw a huge shot in the arm. You know, whatever it was that Bradshaw was missing, Bradshaw got once he started tagging with Ron. And when him and Ron went his separate ways, Bradshaw was able to carry that on to JBL. You know, I just feel that just like back in the 70s and in the 80s, when, you know, the older, you know, wrestler was ready to give it up or what have you, they would put him with a younger guy to help get that younger guy over. I figured that would be the same thing, but it didn't work out that way.
Well, it's strange the way these things happen in the business, but like I said, I definitely think had they taken you up on that offer, it could have definitely helped someone like an Apollo Crews, any of those guys looking to get to the next level who, you know, maybe haven't been around during the territory days, the Monday Night Wars era. So much knowledge that you can impart on them, and I guess that's pretty much one of the benefits of having you as a producer. But definitely, you know, I think in ring, you could still go, no doubt about that, in terms of, you know, the appearance, the promo skills, everything that you bring to the table. I do remember even in TNA for a while there, they had you paired up with Pope, with Elijah Burke. And
Yeah.
I think that was pretty good storytelling that they had going on there with yourself, with your sons. And I think you helped to enhance his persona as well. So, I mean, there's already a proven track record of you being paired up with a younger talent and helping them to elevate.
Well, that was the one thing I liked about TNA. You know, I said so many things over the years about TNA because I was unhappy, not with the organization, but with the people that were running it at the time when I was there. And TNA was actually when I sit back and think, it was actually a great place to work. You know, it really, really was. Like I said, I remember for many years, I said the opposite. And hi, I'm sorry, my daughter. I remember I said the opposite about it. And I, you know, was always, you know, saying how unhappy I was there. But when I really think about it, they really gave me the opportunity and the shot to go in, whether it be with someone or even on my own.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was a big fan of your TNA run. Does she want to say hello?
Yeah, she's gonna say hello regardless. Every time I do an interview, she comes in, say hi.
Hi. How are you?
You just stop daddy in mid sentence, and then you know it's hard for me to get that back.
What a beautiful daughter you have there. She must take after her mother.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find her.
But yeah, speaking of TNA, I mean, around the time that you were there, you know, I had also done some tryouts here and there with the company, trying to get my foot in the door. I remember one of the events I was at was in Jersey. I forget the specific town, might have been Ashbury Park. And I remember seeing you and Bubba actually have a one-on-one at that event. And I thought that was pretty good to see because, you know, it's not a match that took place a lot, you and Bubba going one-on-one. And I definitely enjoyed seeing that. If you don't mind me asking, what led to the split of the Dudley Boyz in WWE?
Was that in WWE? I'm sorry, my daughter is going crazy.
Oh, it's all good. No worries.
Yeah.
All right. So while we wait for that to settle down, I think now might be a good time to tell the people where they could get some fantastic baked goods. What do you think?
I know the spot.
Oh, you clearly do.
You know I know the
gut
spot.
Does not lie.
I'm dressed like the Kool-Aid man today for a reason. You know I know the spot. You know what that is? That's 102 Saint Jean Baptiste, Local 52 in Chateauguay. You tell them Jofo in the Ring Center, and you check out everything they have. They got Zippolis. They got fucking donuts, Simpson donuts, the Kit Kat donuts. Have you had a chance yet?
No, I haven't had a chance to try them, but I'm dying to. You know, it's kind of ridiculous. I haven't gotten them by now, but I guess I should probably try and get down there while they're open. Not like when you sent me and they were closed, and I had to come back here and damn near beat your ass.
You remember that, do you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember it like it was yesterday. You're lucky. I'll let you off easy.
Okay, well, Joe, maybe you could whip us up some Kit Kat donuts, and we can, feed the beast here, and hopefully calm him down, and I can keep my life.
Yep. And I hope that this time around, you know, when I go there, not only can I get the finest in baked goods, but I might be able to, you know, maybe get us a little discount for my inconvenience. Just saying.
Not only will you get a discount, you'll get some great conversation too, because they have the friendliest staff there.
All right. And where can they find them?
102 Saint Jean Baptiste, local 52 in Chattagee. Tell them Jofo in the Ring sent you.
We're good.
So I was saying, back in WWE, when they decided to send you and Bubba your separate ways, when you became Reverend Devon, which was one of my favorite gimmicks of all time, loved Reverend Devon, and then Bubba was doing his thing over on Raw. What led to that breakup? Because I've heard through the grapevine, and you know, in this day and age, you can't believe everything that's written on the internet. But I had heard that it was actually you that wanted to become the singles wrestler, to give that a shot. Can you?
Well, I've always wanted to be a singles wrestler. Tag team wrestling wasn't something I was a diehard fan of going into. You know, I wanted to be the Roddy Piper. I wanted to be the Junkyard Dog, the Hulk Hogan. I wanted to, you know, that singles, that glory for me. That was Bubba's thing. He always wanted to be a tag team. He, you know, and I agree with what one of the comments that he said is that sometimes, you know, tag team is more exciting than singles. There's so many different elements that you can use in tag team wrestling, and so many things you can do with that as opposed to singles wrestling. I think he has a point there. I just never saw myself in a tag team. So for me, it was just like whatever. But that wasn't the reason why we broke up. And like you said, unless you hear it from the persons themselves, it was Vince's idea. Vince, in my opinion, a lot of people thought that Vince wanted the Reverend Devon character was kind of like a crack at the Catholic Church. Because remember, back then, they were also picketing, you know, a lot of our shows, saying that we were the devil and the storylines that we were doing and this and that wasn't right for kids and blah, blah, blah. So they were just as guilty as trying to kick us off the air and things like that. And then all of a sudden, the child molestation controversy came up with the priest. And it was almost like now priests are being considered hypocrites, you know, coming out and saying one thing, and now you have the scandal going on. So, you know, who were they to talk about, you know, morals and all of that? And I think that had a huge, you know, impact on us during the Attitude Era, because, you know, we didn't know what could happen. We were losing sponsors. We were losing everything because of these kind of like right to censor people, which actually became a gimmick and a fascism in the Attitude Era. But I also feel that it was just one of those things where we had to kind of go through that to be and to become what we were. But in terms of, you know, Vince just wanted to, I think, get at the Catholic Church and make fun of them, because then you had Benny Hinn, who is one of those evangelist preachers, and all these people just taking money, Jim Baker, all of that. It was kind of like a knock on them.
Peter Popoff.
Yeah. So even though I had always wanted to become singles, at that point I was scared to death. I was brand new in WWE. We only had been there about 4 or 5 years. I didn't want to go singles at that point. You know, I didn't have that confident boost behind me. And so we even told Vince we didn't think it was gonna be a good idea. And he said, no, I think it will be. So, you know, when Vince tells you no, even though you say you don't want to do something, it's like you gotta do it anyway. And that's exactly what happened. I was very happy, very content with the gimmick. I would come in and do promos with Vince, and we would hit it in one shot. I didn't have to go over any of my stuff with him. He always gave me the opportunity to do it on my own, to come up with our own verbiage for our pre-tape. He was very good with it. And then all of a sudden, right after Bautista came in, it just took a wrong turn. You know, I couldn't understand it, because here it is, I'm working with Rikishi, working with Randy Orton, John Cena, doing it, Val Venus, Mark Henry, you know, doing it all, and basically, you know, going over, and I would say 80% of them, and still the gimmick was going south. I didn't understand why, for the life of me. And then all of a sudden,
because I was going to say, when you say the gimmick was going south, because I remember watching vividly, you know, I've been a huge wrestling fan my entire life, still am to this day. I'd almost say a super fan even. So I remember very vividly the Reverend Devon time period. And when you say going south, I got a question, because like I saw you live, like you did a match here in Montreal. where you had Deacon Bautista there with you. I even got the opportunity, because I was sitting front row, to put some money in the collection pot and donate to the Reverend D-VON Building Fund, which, you know, I pay my tithes and offerings. I'm a good Christian boy. But when it comes down to it, I remember you getting tons of heat at that time. Like,
oh, it was a great time. It really was. And you're right. I was getting
tons of
heat. And even to the point where, you know, I worked with Triple H and went over on Hunter, you know, and especially with Hunter being at the peak of his career, the way he was, where he was, there's no way that man would have laid down for me if he didn't think that the Reverend D-VON character was worth helping to get over. There's no way he would have done that. And, you know, I remember Hunter telling me a few times, you know, I'm getting the wrong end of the deal here. And, you know, again, Hunter was all behind me, you know, at the time. I do think that if Hunter was in the position back then that he is now, I think things might have been different.
Because I look at it from how you mentioned JBL getting that rub from working the tag team with Farouk and then going on to a singles run. I look at Reverend D-VON as that could have been like your reinvention, your JBL that would have taken you right to the main event. You know, whether you become champion or not, I think the whole package was there to be main event ready. The heat was there. You were firing on all cylinders in the ring, on the mic. And it is strange that it just kind of fizzled out. And then you went back to teaming with Bubba. Actually, you were teaming with Ron Simmons, I think, at one point too. And it seemed like they, like you said, pulled the rug out from under you. And then you ended up back with Bubba. I just think that when we look back on that character, it had tons of legs to stand on and could have gone so much further. I personally loved it.
And a lot of fans have come, you know, on whether it's Twitter or Instagram, and has said the same thing that you said. I heard through certain people that talk why it went south. That'll come at a later time, but it was somebody that I trusted and believed in. I heard killed it.
That they put the knife in your back kind of thing?
They put the knife in my back.
Yeah, that's a damn shame.
Really,
you know, and that's, you know, and that's what hurt the most, is this person, you know, I actually thought was behind me and in my corner, and yes, apparently he wasn't at the time.
Wow.
You know, but it's okay. I mean, you know, it is what it is. You know, I had a great career. I can't complain at all. I am a little bitter about, you know, that part of my career, because I know how far it probably most likely would have gone. But like you said, to take the legs from underneath me like that, it was just, when I see all the time, especially nowadays, how so many guys try to get over it and they can't, and they keep getting chance after chance after chance, and it still doesn't happen for them. But yet I was only allowed, 4 months doing a Reverend D-VON gimmick.
And it should have been so much more. I know my broadcast partner here, he wants to say something, but if I could just slip in real quick. One thing that you said that stood out to me was that Vince had the confidence in you to use your own verbiage in the promo.
Yeah.
And I feel that's so different than what we hear things are like nowadays, where you got teams of writers and they give you your script and they want it to be verbatim. Do you feel, as a company man on the inside, that it's a case of that maybe holding back certain talent? Or do you feel that maybe the talent themselves are just maybe not capable of being able to go off the cuff and, you know, do what guys like yourself did back in the day?
You know, there's a lot more to it. I mean, now being in the back and you see certain things and certain people that think they should get whatever and they don't get it, but there's reasons behind that. And I see things a little different now compared to what I did see back before. I do feel that sometimes, you know, they may hold, you know, talent back that needs to just let go and shine. Listen, during the Attitude Era, that was the thing. You went out there, he let you do what you wanted to do, within reason, of course, you know, and you were able to shine and show your stuff. I feel that I don't think people should be held back so much. Let them do them. And if you got to pull them back, then pull them back. But if not, leave it be, let it go, because you never know what's going to come out of it.
See, maybe,
and, you know, so in point in case, the Attitude Era, you know, half of those get, like, come on, The Godfather, really? you know, hoes and smoking weed and stuff like that. I mean, come on, who would have ever thought that, you know, somebody would let somebody do that? We're not going that far. You know, we're not going that far with the Godfather's gimmick, you know, nowadays. But if we could just get close to that, you know, just let these guys do what I feel creatively that they want to do. You know, I feel like that's what has to happen with some talent. You just gotta let them go.
Yeah. Well, just going back to the Reverend Devon, when you were told that you were going to get somebody with you, did you get to handpick anybody, or did they throw a bunch of names at you and be like, which guy did you want to work with?
Nothing.
Or,
no,
they just said, Dave.
Well, we had, I think the week before Dave came in, we had, I was doing a sermon and preaching through the people like I normally do. And somebody came from behind and took the collection box. And of course, I meet him down below and start whooping his ass. Well, it was one of those things where they said, we have to have somebody to be there to protect the box. Who could it possibly be? And they didn't come to me and told me. I just came to work one day and said, hey, Bautista's going to be with you. I was like, who? It's like, Bautista. I was like, who is that? Dave Bautista. He's in FCW. I was like, oh, okay. And that was it. That's how that was going. They never showed me or gave me a choice of people. They just said, he's going with you.
I saw recently on your Instagram, Reverend Devon made a comeback officially.
Officially, yeah.
You got
I'm an ordained minister now, and
oh, wow.
you know, people have been having me do their weddings and all of that. So I got a chance to relive Reverend Devon all over again, but this time I call the shots with Reverend Devon.
I hope nobody tried to steal your cash box this time.
I really hope, for their sake, they really don't.
Well, I had heard also that you were bringing in a lot of cash with that cash box. Is there some truth to that?
Oh, there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth. I remember we were in Anaheim, California. It was a live event. And I was done with the match. I think it was against Mark Henry. And I was just going to walk out and not even do this. And Finley, who was our agent at the time, looked over and said, Devon, that guy's trying to give you money. Look. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, go get it. Go get it. I was like, oh, okay. So I go over there, go get it. Next thing you know, I'm making my rounds or my way around. As I get up to the top of the ramp, the money is overflowing in the box. And Dave, you know, you can see him freaking every time a dollar drop, he'd pick it up and, you know, do that Dave look and put it back. And we got in the back. I said, hey, Dave. He goes, Rev, that was something. I go, yeah. Hunter comes in. He goes, damn, Devon, Churchill must be good. I go, yes, it is, my brother.
Wow. Did you get to keep any of that for beer money later, or?
Let's just say APA made sure every night they were waiting back Gorilla to make sure to see how much I had. And then, of course, all that money went to fund the boys' entertainment that night.
See, so you helped out.
Well, yeah, I did. Yeah, I should get a receipt, you know, because a lot of those religious organizations are tax exempt. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my tax exempt.
So then shortly after that, you ended up back with Bubba in the tag team. I remember you guys were on Raw. Ironically, I think you ended up in a lot of matches with Evolution, with Randy Orton and Bautista. So you guys were already familiar with them, having worked on SmackDown with Randy as an opponent and with Dave as your partner. So, you know, that must have been great on your end. But I know that there's the infamous story of when they got injured in that match, as Bubba called it, a bad day at the office. What's, you know, we didn't hear your take on that when WWE did that video about it. So, I mean, what really went on in that match where everyone, even Bubba, you know, came out of it banged and bruised?
Yeah, well, apparently we were doing something, we were giving Randy Orton a flapjack. I had one side and Bubba had the other. And I don't know how this happened, but somehow or another, Randy's ankle wound up getting behind Bubba. So when he landed on his back, Bubba kind of landed on his ankle. Mm-hmm. And of course that crushed him. Now Bubba says that his spine shifted from that. And I was like, how the hell did your spine shift? I was like, how do you get it? I was like, when Tyson said he was boxing on a broken neck, and the commentator said, what? And Tyson like, yeah, I broke my neck. My neck was broken.
Spinal.
Yeah. I was like, okay. And so he was down. Bubba was down. Randy was down. Oh, but right before Bubba went down, him and Bautista, they lock up. They back each other in the corner. And as they're going back and forth, and I can remember, Bubba went to go push Bautista. Bautista went to mush him. And as he mushed him towards tricep.
Wow.
Yeah, we were all, everybody was freaked out. Now, here it is, everybody's down. Bautista's down, Randy's down, Bubba's down. I'm the only one standing. I'm the only one standing out of all of them.
Testify.
Yeah.
Literally the last man standing.
Literally the last man standing. Everybody was down and out. Randy screaming, holding his ankle. Bautista's freaking, going, shit, damn it. I think I tore it. Damn it, I think I tore it. And then Bubba's like, my back. Meanwhile, I'm just jumping up and like the new fresh kid. So what do we do next? What do we do next?
Oh man. Before you and Bubba go back together, I know you did some matches with Jeff Hardy. You did some tag team matches on Raw with Jeff, I believe. I think it was Survivor Series 2002, if I'm not mistaken. It was
no, that was Bubba.
It was okay, my bad. It was Bubba.
He was on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was on, yeah.
Yeah, and then you came over to Raw afterwards. Okay, my mistake then.
Yeah.
He makes mistakes all the time. So.
Few and far between. But I did remember hearing that you wanted to do some tag matches with the Hardys before Matt Hardy departed to AEW, just on house shows.
Yeah, what happened was Jeff was hurt. And he was still wrestling. He was still working. And I was a producer at the time. And I was saying to myself, I said, wow, wait a minute. I said, if Jeff's hurt and he's trying to get through what he's trying to get through, but he's still working, I said, maybe it wouldn't be a good idea to kind of help out, to try to see if we could do this. Two Hardys and a Dudley. Never been done before, because they were doing 6-man tags at the time. And I just remember going, well, why don't you put me with the Hardys? I was like, and you can do it this way. I can help Jeff with what was his knee or his back, I don't remember. But, try to give him time to heal a little bit. Have him come in at first and bump the guys around, and then tag me in, and then, or tag Matt in, and have Matt you guys do a double team, tag me in, let me do something with you guys, coordinate something, and then shut me down, get the heat on me, get the hot tag to Matt, and go home. I said, let's just do it on live events and see how it works. I didn't want to go on TV. And I was told no.
I think it's interesting how the TLC trio, as I like to call you guys, the Dudley Boyz, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys, there was always kind of a window where there were at least one of each of you in the same company, as is the case right now with yourself, Edge, and Jeff Hardy. Christian's status, is kind of up in the air, but I would think Christian is also there too. I'm a very big Christian fan. I definitely think that it would have made for some great storytelling if maybe the three of you guys would have united, you, Edge, and Jeff Hardy, especially during that storyline with Randy Orton, where him and Edge were having that back and forth, and he had injured him. And I think then Matt Hardy had stepped up to be the one to fight him, but I think that could have just as easily been yourself.
When I walked away, I kind of walked away from it. And, all of this stuff that you're saying, I thought about, the same thing, but I didn't want anybody to think that I was out for business for myself or think I was trying to get back into the spotlight. So I was told at one point. So I just kept quiet, didn't say anything in terms of that, Yeah.
Well, me being on the media side of things, and being a bit of a loose cannon myself, I like to throw those ideas out there because, I know that it's tough for you guys. You're scrutinized so much being a part of the company. There's only so much that you can say. But from the fan perspective, I think I speak for a lot of people that, that would have been cool to see you guys integrated into that storyline because let's face it, the three of you guys changed the business. You took it to another level with those TLC matches. And yeah, it would have been a great treat for the fans. Speaking of which, what are some of your memories from doing those TLC matches with Edge and Christian and the Hardys? What was it like when they proposed the idea of that match to you for the first time?
Well, the first time was at WrestleMania. 16. And for me, I was just so happy to be at WrestleMania. It's my first WrestleMania. So I really didn't care about the tables, ladders, and chairs and all of that nonsense that went along with it. Plus, you know, we were used to that type of match, ECW style. That's the way we looked at it. You know, with us going out there using tables, ladders, and chairs. The only thing we didn't do was barbed wire and thumbtacks. So, I mean, other than that, we were used to it. But I thought it was great. I think me and Bubba thought of it as, now they're gonna let us, the Dudley Boys, be the Dudleys, because this is our style match. We've done the technical wrestling with you guys. We've done trying to hang with you with the, you know, flying and all of that. Now you want to step it down and make it a little bit extreme. You're gonna come to our level now. And I think this is where we thought we were gonna shine. But it wasn't just the Dudleys that shined, it was every single one of us.
And another team that you guys had a lot of legendary matches with in a much different style would be the APA. And so, you know, we know that those were some incredibly physical matches. I love those matches between the two teams. In fact, I see a lot of similarities between the dynamics of the two. What were those matches like, and how real did it get in there?
Well, when you're in there with APA, it gets real. You know, God, but we had the understanding that we were going to go in there and do that with each other. You know, it was never anything where, you know, we were upset with each other or anything like that when we beat the hell out of each other. It was just that we knew that that's what we had to do to step up to the plate and make it entertaining for the fans, something memorable. But we're going to go in there and beat the hell out of each other, different from everybody else wrestling and what they're entertaining. We're going to go out there and just show you violence. And that's exactly what we did. You know, and when you were in there, you were with APA, you were fighting for your life. I think I should have said, wait a minute, hit Bubba harder, not me. I'm good.
And I know there must have been some pressure on you guys too, because they had just had that, you know, a big rivalry with Public Enemy, which kind of followed in the same paths as you guys, coming from ECW. Public Enemy, from my understanding, didn't exactly want to do business, and you know, led to some friction between them and the APA. Do you feel that kind of played a role in how you guys approached taking on Farouk and Bradshaw?
Absolutely. I think, you know, to this day, Bubba and I both think that it was kind of like a test for me and Bubba when we first came in, to see where we were going to be. They threw us right to the wolves. They threw us right to APA. And, you know, in WWE, even back in WWF and WWF, there was always somebody in the company that if you wanted to test the new guys that came in and see what they got, or they needed an attitude adjustment, there was always guys in the company at the time to take care of that. And APA was that guy. APA with those guys. And so after the Public Enemy, here comes the Dudleys from ECW as well. And it was kind of like, okay, let's see what these boys can do. Let's see if they can hang, you know? And we were off to the races. And I just remember me and Farouk having the strap match. And that's when, you know, I think we earned their respect, because we went out there and really tore it down with each other and beat the hell out of each other. And at the end of it, neither one of us complained. And, you know, I just remember Ron coming back and go, "Hey, Devon, good job." I said, "Thank you."
Oh man, that's hilarious. Yeah, I was gonna say, because there's a few guys who have a reputation for being the person to, I guess, initiate the newer talent. Another guy that we hear a lot of stories about is Bob Holly.
Yes, Bob was there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Bob was that guy as well. Bob introduced himself to Bubba in a little violent way.
Oh,
I think
boy.
Bubba was getting a massage at the time. They had this guru that came in that he knew all the techniques and the pressure points. So there used to be like the big wrestling mat in the room, and he was there to adjust you and to do all of that stuff. And Bubba went down there to get adjusted, and Bob Holly saw him and came over and cross-faced him as he was laying down. Yeah. And so those two were, you know, going at it, but not going at it in a bad way. They were going at it, you know, testing each other out and, you know, Bubba being the young guy coming into WWE, and Bob Holly being the vet, you know, Bob came in and was feeling him out for the locker room, so to speak. You know, it was nothing like malicious or anything like that. It was so friendly. You know, I'm sitting there watching it, laughing. You know, because these two are like clowning around. It was fun. You know, that was just what we did back then. So Bob made sure he introduced himself to the Dudleys.
I mean, I've heard tons of stories from a lot of the guys I've worked with and wrestled that have been in WWE. And I'd say Bob's a very polarizing figure, but for the most part, I feel people do respect what he did to help weed out maybe people who didn't belong. And I think that speaks to maybe a bit of a generational change, because nowadays I can't imagine that there would be someone like that in today's WWE. It's a little bit more sanitized.
Well, not that it was ever done before, but if you want to say somebody that's taking that place, if they ever asked them to, Brock Lesnar would be definitely one. I think that if somebody needed an attitude adjustment, Brock would be the one to go to. I think Brock can more than handle himself doing that.
And swatting a fly with a bazooka, Joe.
Well, it's funny you say, because Brock himself had some issues with Bob Holly. They had that one match on SmackDown where he gave that power bomb to Bob Holly that actually messed up his neck.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. There's that dynamic.
Well, I never heard of any. I remember that, and I don't remember ever hearing them ever like there was any fighting or anything like that. You know, I heard the same thing that you've heard, but I never heard any bickering between the two at all.
Yeah, it was a lot of internet rumors going around that Bob sandbagged him just so like he kind of oversold or didn't sell enough the power bomb and went dead.
I think it's one of those bad days at the office situations there where, you know, anytime we get in there, anything can go wrong. So it's just unfortunate it happened on television. And at the very least, it led to a great match between the two of them once Bob came back at the Royal Rumble. And, you know, even I was believing there was a chance he could take the title. So
I couldn't believe that they gave him a title shot. I was surprised as hell. I was rooting for him. I liked Bob Holly back in the day. He was one of my favorites.
But it speaks to something that, you know, I often criticize you about, in that how you can't believe everything you read on the internet, because, you know, they're not,
you really can't.
They're not credentialed journalists. They're people reporting on hearsay, rumors, sometimes just straight making it up. And, you know, I'm actually a journalism major. That's what I studied in college. And wrestling was obviously my first passion. But I do believe in journalistic integrity, and that, you know, there's a reason why you need sources if you're going to write something. Unfortunately, the wrestling world doesn't see that. Have you ever found yourself maybe on the wrong end of bad journalism? Because we see so much of it in wrestling.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen it tons of times. I mean, even something recently, I was on my podcast, Table Talk, and I'm sorry, it wasn't my podcast. It was somebody else's podcast, and I'm sitting up there and I'm putting over Stephanie McMahon. You know, I'm saying, you know, she's a great person. She's beautiful inside and out. She's stunning. She's witty. You know, very classy, elegant woman. And I used the word infatuation. I was like, I'm infatuated with her, you know, when I should have said admired. And of course, they took that and ran, said, oh, D-VON's in love with Stephanie McMahon. Oh my God, Hunter, be careful. D-VON's after your woman. And I'm like, what? I'm like, how the hell? I'm like, I put over the woman, you know, and you're saying that. And then another thing was, one of the questions was, would you have dated Stephanie back in the Attitude Era days? So what was I gonna say? After I just put the girl over, what am I gonna say? No, I wouldn't have dated her. So I said, of course I would date her. I said, she's very beautiful. I said, I love Stephanie. She's a great person. And of course they ran with it.
And that's what's difficult in this day and age, is that, you know, people are looking for the sensational story, you know, because that's what gets the views and that's what gets the clicks. And, you know, a lot of these guys are like the National Enquirer of wrestling. It's why I firmly believe with our show, you know, I want to present a level of journalistic integrity that we're not going to misquote people and, you know, just do something just to get a lot of eyes on us. That's not what we're about. And maybe it's because I've been a wrestler myself for 15 years and, you know, have found myself in those situations where people report on innuendo and hearsay. But I do think that all around journalists need to step up their game and not be putting stuff to print if they can't verify it and, you know, trying to sensationalize things. That's just my 2 cents on it. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about is your sons. I remember seeing them in TNA when you did that angle with the Pope, and now we're seeing them on AEW. They've been on Dark a couple of times. How are things going for them in their career, and where do you see them ending up in the near future?
I think, well, no, thank you. They're doing really good. I mean, I'm proud of them, and you know, they are trying to get their own identity, and you know, they don't want to have be on Uncle Bubba and Daddy's coattails. So I give them a lot of respect for that. They want to go out on their own and do their own thing. So, you know, I'm behind them 110% now, as opposed to before. I didn't want them to wrestle, period. But I had to change of heart and wind up training them, and you know, they're doing very well for themselves. So I see them going wherever they want to go. I look at it this way: Dustin got away from the NWA and all of that at the time, especially when his father, I believe at the time, was booking the territory at the time. If I'm not mistaken, Dustin wanted his own identity away from Dusty. He wanted to be his own man, and he did that. He came to WWE, he created Goldust, and he created his own persona, his own deal. And you know, kudos to that. And you know, that's what I feel like my boys are trying to do. They're trying to, you know, put their own identity out there. They'll always be known as my sons, but at the same token, they can still have their own, you know, identity.
So I guess
just as long as they keep the 3D, I don't care.
Actually, that's what I wanted to ask you about, was the 3D. Whose idea was it to come up with it? And was it obviously everybody wants their finish protected, but you and Bubba have like one of the most protected finishers of all time. I think only 2 people have kicked out of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Masato Tanaka and Chris Sabin.
I remember the Chris Sabin match at TNA. That was excellent. I
gotta add saw it. I was gonna deny it, but see, I'm glad I didn't deny it, because you saw it, so you would have been able to witness it. So
that was the retirement match of Team 3D, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's what separated me and Bubba.
That's what he means about journalistic integrity. We do our research here.
I see that. I got to tell the truth.
well, I had heard, and maybe we need to clear the air on this, because I actually heard there was a third person that kicked out of a 3D. Because I had the chance to train with Sylvain Grenier, who's from here in Montreal, and he claimed that at one point he accidentally.
You tell Renee there's no way he's still breathing if he kicked out of 3D.
He claimed that someone was a little late. I think it was Sylvain, though. Claimed someone was a little late.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, he claimed that someone was a little late to break up the pin on a 3D, and he accidentally kicked out, or had to kick out, or something like that, and he took a lot of heat for it.
I don't remember. You tell Renee I don't remember that.
How'd you guys come up with the 3D?
You know, it was basically a little ripoff of Dallas, you know, DDP, with the diamond cutter.
Yeah.
And you know, Bubba was sitting around. He just said, what if we had like lifted somebody up and we did like the cutter? And I was like, well, it could work. And we tried it on Spike. We called Spike, you know, and he's hiding. Anytime we needed to try a new move, we'd call Spike. And Spike, after a while, he kind of learned and just went hiding.
Kind of like give it to Mikey. He'll like it.
Right. Yep. And we tried it on Spike, and it actually worked. And then we did it at the ECW arena. We nearly killed him.
I just loved how you guys had such great timing on that 3D, where, like, you know, one would hit the rope and then the guy's being elevated, and it just looked so beautiful when it was done. I feel actually a lot of teams took inspiration from that. We see guys like FTR or the Revival, you know, doing a variation of it now with a lung blower at the end. A lot of teams using it. I know at one point, I think the Wyatt family started using it in WWE, and I think it may have even been before you guys went back.
Yes.
Did they come to you guys and ask your permission before deciding to use that as a finish?
Oh, I forgot who told me. It was one of it was either Harper or Bray that told me that they had decided, yeah, let's do 3D, let's do 3D. And they're like, you know, Bubba's gonna call, right? or Bubba's gonna say something. And sure enough, they hit 3D, and I think Harper had put something on his Twitter, and then Bubba responded back, and it was like a little Twitter thing going on between those between them two at one point, and then all of a sudden we found out we were coming back, and we had a little run with the Wyatt family.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that run where you guys came back. And I think what's unfortunate is that towards the end of that run, they had you guys on Main Event a lot. And it was either Main Event or Superstar. I think about that point it was Main Event, which I still watch every week anyways, because there's a lot of talent on there, you know, chomping at the bit, trying to get themselves noticed and back on the A shows. But you guys did some great matches on there with a lot of other teams. I remember specifically with New Day before they became as big as they are now. But you guys had some matches with New Day on there. And I personally enjoyed, not to take anything away from you, but I thought Bubba really kind of came into his own, almost like his Bully Ray character in TNA. Like, I used to love when he would get the guy on the ground and he would start talking trash to them, being like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how you crossface a guy. This is, I really love that. And I was just like, this is entertaining me week after week, seeing you guys on there working with a lot of the new up and coming teams.
Well, my thing was I liked it. I know Bubba was sometimes a little antsy about being on Main Event and the other ones, but I loved it because I didn't have to have the pressure of Raw or SmackDown. I didn't have to worry about my time. I mean, they gave us time, but you know, it wasn't gonna be in jeopardy if you went over, you know? So whenever we were told we were on Main Event, I was like, oh, this is easy. Okay, not a problem. Yeah. That was, you know, I just knew it was gonna be a cinch.
Yeah. To me, it's interesting because, like I said, I watch Main Event every week, and you know, this is just me as a fan asking you here, because I see a lot of guys on there, and I just look at it as this is like a proving ground. This is like, you can do something spectacular on here, and you know, this might be what catapults you, you know, onto Raw, into a storyline. What are some of the differences between working on Main Event and working on Monday Night Raw live?
Well, again, the key word is live. You're on live TV. That's one. Like I said, if you're working on Main Event, you don't have to worry about your time. You know, when you're on Raw or SmackDown, you have to hit your times. And that's one of the things that's, you know, that's very important up there. You have to hit your times. You cannot go over your time. And so with Main Event, you don't have to worry about that, you know. Not to mention, Main Event is the first actual matches they start to see, you know, before they tire out the crowd. So my thing is, the earlier you go on, the better. The better. Some guys, you know, used to complain about going on first. I'm like, I'll go on first every night because you're the first one they see. They got all that energy. They've been waiting, standing online, building up, you know, the energy to come in there and cheer and yell and all of that. So, you know, by the time, you know, you come out, you're the first one, all that energy is ready to explode. And now all of a sudden, you know, you walk out and you got the Hulk Hogan pop or that Road Warrior pop, and you're just going, you know, and that gets your adrenaline going, as opposed to being last. And, you know, it's like the fans have seen everything they're supposed to see. And now, you know, you're coming out and it's like, yeah. And you wonder why they're so tired. They're already blown. Yep. So I love being on first.
And so it's interesting to me from a producer standpoint, because you're actually the second producer we've had on the show here. A couple of weeks back, we had my dear friend, TJ Wilson, who came on and shared a lot of his insights with us. One of the things we talked about was guys who wrestle on Main Event, and they seem like they're stuck in this purgatory. Like, he mentioned Ricochet and put over how he feels that, you know, Ricochet could be a guy that, you know, next Monday could easily be his Monday, and he becomes one of the top guys in the company. Do you feel some of these guys we see on a weekly basis, like the Humberto Carrillos or the Tozawas, Drew Gulaks, that, you know, these guys, Main Event could be their catapult to where someone can notice them, and then all of a sudden, boom, next week, here they are in a major storyline? Do you feel Main Event could be that?
I definitely feel that, because, you know, you got to think about it. You know, you're out there, you know, working. You want to put on the best show you possibly can, but if you're rushed in any way, because say like you go from 12 to 5 because somebody went over and now they got to make the time in your match. Think about it. On Main Event, it's like you don't have to worry about that a lot of times. And not to mention, you can go out there and experiment with different things and do things out there, you know, and you're not on live TV. And if it doesn't work, they can always cut it if it's that bad.
So I got to ask you, just for my own personal amusement, what was your thoughts when you came into Raw and found out you were going to put Mae Young through a table off the stage?
I thought maybe somebody was going to come down and stop us. I never thought that they were going to let that happen. And, you know, that's what I mean about pushing the envelope a little bit, you know, going back to those days, you know, but you can't because society is so sensitive with everything. I mean, we'll have a bunch of grandmothers picketing, you know, if we ever try to go back to that nowadays. But, you know, it's just one of those things where I never thought in a million years that people would get excited when we put an 80-year-old woman through a table. And my thing was society was sick. That's when I knew society had really changed. It's not that Leave It to Beaver, you know, type of generation anymore, the Happy Days or the Brady Bunch. It's over. I was like, you know, it's sick when they cheer after we took somebody's grandmother and put her through a damn table. And then we do it off the stage. And if you go back to that one we did off the stage, I went to go like I was gonna roll her off the stage, and they started cheering for that. I'm like, you fuckers are sick. You're really sick.
And just hearing the stories of how tough she is, I wouldn't be surprised if it was her idea to be put through the table off the stage.
It was her idea. She wanted to do something to us where her and Moolah came into the ring during a cage match and wanted us to take her and powerbomb her through a table in a steel cage.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, May was out of her mind.
People were built different back then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 20-something years old at the time, and I didn't want that.
She's one tough woman, without a doubt.
Yes,
I just remember being at school the next day, just going. That was like the whole thing about what. It's what everybody was talking about was just Mae Young, an 80-year-old woman, got powerbombed off the stage through a table, and while she was in a neck brace. That's another thing too, is like she had a neck brace, she was in a wheelchair, and you guys are just like, whatever, fuck it.
Made for great TV.
Well,
absolutely.
Hold on, you said back when you were in school, you meant college, right? You were like your last year of college. Right?
Yeah. That's exactly. No, it was high school. Late high school. Definitely wasn't grade 7.
You ain't that young.
I've been saying for years he's been lying about his age. You know, he can't be aging gracefully like yourself, you know, looking like this. But I
age like, I don't know, like a donut.
You age like milk.
Yeah, exactly.
You're way past your expiry date. But
I was spoiled as a kid.
Getting back on track here. I myself, being a professional wrestler, having done this for 15 years here in Canada, hoping to make it to a big level, and putting in the time and work, all those things. I would just love to ask you, what would be some of the best advice you could pass on to people like myself, the wrestlers out there, the young wrestlers who are watching this and have aspirations and ambitions of being able to work for a major company? What would you say would be helpful?
I think you got to come prepared, your bags packed and ready to go when opportunity knocks. And what I mean by that is, you have your, how are you going to be able to entertain the people? How are you going to capture their attention? You need to know all of that and have that ready to go when the time is right to go. I just think you need to be ready all around. I mean, whether you're, trying to entertain people, your wrestling ability, how you are in the ring, your foot placement, your hand placement, all of it has to be accurate.
And what do you
got to be ready? You got to be ready to go on all cylinders. How's your promo skills? How do you retain things in terms of match wise, and some of the basics that people don't know in terms of basic moves in the ring, that can tell a story other than flipping and flying. I firmly believe that you can take a hip toss and make a big deal out of it with an arm drag and turning it into something as opposed to doing a 450 splash or something,
Absolutely. And what do you feel, in your opinion, as a producer, but also as a wrestler, is lacking the most right now in wrestling that could help to maybe catapult it back to where it was, say, in the Attitude Era or at the height of its success?
I think respect. I think there's, with a lot of young talent, there is no respect anymore for the business or for those that have come before them. I think that's what it's lacking. It's no different than when you hear a lot of people say, young people today, about not having respect for their elders and this and that. And it's a whole different type of, different. Stop it. You're getting daddy tongue tied.
Like you said, no respect.
No respect. Oh boy. You're giving your mother a hard time, aren't you?
Yeah, you're the best.
Oh, okay.
Wait till she has entrance music to start interrupting your promos now.
She already has. It's like Chakalaka. It's great. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's all good. So,
Don't
so
worry
you were
about it.
saying respect and respect for the previous generation is the main thing.
Yeah, and I think, again, I just think, that's one of the biggest factors, and I'm seeing with a lot of young talent is that there's no respect, at all, for like I said, the people that have come before them, or just the business in itself. It's not all. It's not all. I'll give you a prime example. I think one of the greatest things is revival. I forget what they call them now in AEW, but you talk about two guys that have respect for the business. Those guys, I love those guys to death. I miss them, I used to have a lot of their matches when they were in WWE producing. The respect that those guys have, it's through the roof. And if more younger guys had respect like those guys, you might see a different generation of wrestling now.
I got to ask. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, you gotta understand. Back then, we a lot of us was trained old school. So we got beat up, we got punished when we did wrong, or we act stupid, or we didn't respect. The horror stories that I used to hear with Alpha and Sika, with Samu, and the stories I hear from Rikishi and like Roman and like they demanded respect, or they were gonna beat the hell out of you. Alpha and Sika was no one to play with. And I think a lot too is that we don't have guys like Alpha and Sika and the generation now, the older generation, that would beat the hell out of a young guy if he disrespected him.
Well, I mean, things now, it's very, like I said, very sanitized, very politically correct nowadays. You can't really enforce a lot of those things, and I feel maybe like my generation has kind of taken advantage of that. It's I come from a generation where our parents would beat us if we stepped out of line. Now it's child protective services. Now it's let's make a phone call and complain and that kind of thing. And I'm of the old school mentality, even though I'm a new school guy, and I respect the previous generation. Like I said, I love getting to pick your brain. Anyone who's made $1 in this business has something to contribute to someone who's on the way up. And I think it's unfortunate to hear that a lot of these guys are just, not taking advantage of that, especially in WWE, where you have so many resources, so many people that know so much that, to look at that and to scoff at that, I think it's just ignorance.
Well, I'm not saying so much in WWE. What I'm saying is a lot of the guys, like on the indie circuit, things like that, is where I see it. For instance, if I remember back when, Hercules Hernandez, I was at an indie show and I saw him. Number one, I'm in awe because I'm like, oh my God, it's Hercules. So I got up out of my seat and I went to go introduce myself, and and I didn't mark out, maybe a little bit, but but it was kind of like, it was my first real wrestler that I wrestled with on a card that I thought was somebody, and I think you only had a handful of people that did that. I remember my trainer, Johnny Rodz, who was on that show with me, he said, D-VON, he goes, you're gonna go a long way in this business. I said, why? He goes, because you don't realize what you just did. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you took a step forward in this business by doing what you did, going over, introducing yourself, and making sure, that's like the respect in Japan. They do that over there. They're young boys, they don't play with them.
And the fact that people are surprised by that, it's just basic manners though too, right?
Yeah. Like, for instance, okay, if you do wrong, I'm gonna put you in timeout, or I'm gonna take away your ice cream, or I'm gonna, man, beat that kid's ass.
Yeah. Teach him a lesson. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody forgets a speech. No one forgets a beating.
Exactly. Like my ex-wife.
Let's hope they don't take that
quote
out of context.
Yeah, well, somebody will. But like, for instance, you can't beat your kid. You can't beat my son. I'm gonna whoop his ass. He started acting crazy.
Make him kneel on a broomstick in the corner.
I'm gonna hit him in the kneecap. That's what I'm gonna do.
But I think I'm a firm believer that, and you mentioned the indies and whatnot. I think that wrestling in general has become a lot more accessible. It's become easy to be a part of it.
Well, that's the thing. What makes us different too back then, and I think that's where the level of respect comes in. with a lot of my generation because it was so hard to break into the business. Where, like you said, nowadays it's a lot easier. There's more access in how to do this. There's more wrestling schools now. Before, you didn't know where wrestling school was. You know, you had to really ask, you know, how do I do this or what have you? And you just happen to show up somewhere and, you know, boom, you got to try out or what have you. Or you knew somebody in the business, you know, and that's the difference, I think, today is it's too much access.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I wanted to ask you about is in terms of the business changing, I personally feel that getting heat has become a bit more challenging now because we're in this PC cancel culture era. You guys used to have some sick promos back in the day in ECW. I mean, you damn near started riots back then, and the stuff that you guys did, I feel like if it was being done now, it'd be getting heat, but it'd be getting a different negative kind of heat, which I personally believe you need that heat to sell tickets.
Yeah, but you got to think also, you know, everybody in the outside world don't think like we do. And that's the problem. They're so sensitive to every little thing, you know? Like, for instance, when they put out the thing about Stephanie McMahon, that I was in love with Stephanie, I got mad, went on my show and said, no, I was like, you guys are idiots. Why would you say that? What if I said I was gay and I was going to be on a RuPaul drag show, would you print that? And, you know, they didn't, you know, I didn't get any response from that. So then I said it again. The second week I said, yeah, okay, I'm gay and I'm going to be on a RuPaul drag queen show. And, you know, again, it wasn't that I was making fun of the lesbian and, you know, gay community. I was just trying to make a point. And one guy goes, well, don't try to make a point out of my expense, you jackass. He was mad as hell because I said that. And I was thinking to myself, are you mad because maybe you thought I was and now you don't have a shot because you know I'm not? I didn't know what the deal was, but I'm like, no one was trying to make a point. I was like, listen, if I came out and said that I'm gay, if I came out and said I was going to be RuPaul drag queen show, a lot of dirt sheet writers would look at that as oh my God, I'm going to make this front page news. Not because they're proud that somebody came out, but somebody who they least expect come out. Now all of a sudden they're going to write it and they think that's going to put ratings or make people look at their article and freaking buy it or, you know, whatever. It's like one of those things. And I was just like, no, I'm not. So I was like, that's what I'm going to go out there and say that. And sure enough, the second time I said it, it was on Google. A friend of mine goes, you want to tell me what's going on? I said, what do you mean? He goes, when did you supposedly come out the closet? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, I get up, I open up my phone and I go to Google and the first thing I see is your ass. Talking about you just came out the closet and you want to be on a RuPaul drag queen show. How the hell you want to be on that show? I said, I'm not going to be on the show. I said, I wanted to see if they were going to print it. And sure enough, they did, you know? And then, like I said, some gay people, some people in the gay community got mad at me. I'm just like, no, I was just trying to prove a point. And that's what I mean by the sensitivity. You know, now if this was done 20, 30 years ago, nobody would have gave a damn. But nowadays, you can't do anything without people being oversensitive about it.
What were your thoughts when The Undertaker went on Joe Rogan and said that the whole locker room was soft?
I thought you were going to say, what would you think? Never mind.
No, that'd be even funnier, too.
What
if The Undertaker went on Joe Rogan and came out, that would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
Would have been awkward for Michelle McCool, but...
Well, I didn't hear that, but, you know, I mean, I don't know. Did Taker explain why he said soft?
I remember him saying, just because back in his day, somebody in the locker room would have had a knife on him. Nowadays, it's a little bit more, everybody's back there, they're playing with their video games.
He said a gun, I think.
Yeah. Did he say a gun or a knife?
Yeah, I think it was guns.
Oh, well, there you go. So, yeah, I think he was just speaking to more in terms of like the locker room doesn't act how the old locker room acted. Is I think the point he was trying to make, but of course everybody else is just like, well, he called Roman Reigns a pussy or something like that. So,
no, and I think I know what you're saying. Yeah, no, it's just that you do have that where back in the day, you know, we talk about partying, having Jack Daniels, a different time, different era compared to now. Now, yes, they are playing video games. Yes, they are talking about, you know, like how to save their money and things like that. It's definitely a different generation. And, you know, people are always, you know, talking about TikTok or, you know, whatever, you know, and doing this and doing that. It's definitely different. There's no question about it. In terms of soft, I don't think I'm not gonna say soft in a sense where like none of these guys are tough. I don't know. I don't think he meant it in that way.
I didn't think so. Just because he still works there. I mean, he comes by, he's in the locker room, he talks to all these guys. I don't think he meant anything negative by it. I just think, like you were saying, somebody heard it, wanted to get the article out right away, front page. Undertaker thinks everyone's a wuss, and then just it spiraled out of there. So
yeah, I don't think he meant everybody because I know for a fact everybody in that locker room can't speak, respects Taker, and Taker respects a lot of those guys back there. So I think is definitely taken out of content.
Yeah. I think that a lot of times you maybe just have unfortunately found yourself on the wrong end of people wanting to sensationalize a story. You know, I've often heard a quote of, why let the facts get in the way of a good story? And more people want to buy into the sensational than into the actual facts. And a lot of people jump to conclusions without hearing both sides, because there's always two sides to a story, just like there's two sides to a pancake. But I think that that's a lot of wrestlers that kind of thing happens to. One thing that comes to mind was you had a bit of an incident here in Montreal. I was at a house show, and there was this guy who I wouldn't even call him an acquaintance, but it's just a guy who was kind of a real troublemaker around here.
It wasn't me.
And the internet jumped on this whole thing at the time. I think this is like around 2004, 2005. You had a bit of a confrontation with him after a show, you know, and people jumped to conclusions because this guy was a bit of a big mouth. I kind of know him personally. What was that all about? What happened there?
I really don't remember. You said Montreal?
It was a house show here in Montreal. I remember it vividly because in the main event, well, you and Bubba had wrestled, I think, RVD and Rey Mysterio, and I think the Bashams and Renee and Kenzo Suzuki. You guys did a four-way, and then you did a little run-in at the end with JBL and Taker. I actually made a sign for JBL because they were having the elections in the States, and I had like Bush, Kerry, and JBL. It was like a ballot with a check mark for JBL. Bubba's always been one of my favorites. He took the sign from me and held it up, and it was quite a moment for young me, who was a fan. Yeah, that was in Montreal. And but there was some kind of altercation after the show with a fan. And I just remember there was this big, long story where he was saying a lot of things. And like I said, I know this guy personally, and he's a bit of a big mouth. And you had kind of gotten into a face-to-face with him. You were leaving, you were wanting to get to your car, and this guy was there. Picture gets posted online of you and him face to face, with him saying that you assaulted him, you injured his neck. And again, maybe I'm a little biased because I know the guy personally, and I know that he is a troublemaker. He actually jumped on the McMahon's limo at a Raw event that we had. It was Vince, Stephanie, and Triple H in the limo, and he jumped on it and he started shouting obscenities at them, saying, you know, you guys, you screwed Brett, you killed WCW. He's just a fan who's like out of his mind. And he had said something like, you pushed him during one of those segments on the house show. And then afterwards, there was this confrontation. I just remember seeing a news story reported on it with a picture of you two, but it only had his side of the story, nothing from you.
I don't remember this incident at all. I mean, you gotta add in all of the stuff that, you know, during the ECW days. I mean, you know,
it was commonplace.
We met fans all the time outside, but I don't particularly remember that particular one in Montreal, though.
Okay, fair enough. Do you have any memories of Montreal? Any good memories, whether in the ring or maybe partying here in the city?
Oh yeah, at Vocals. I don't know if that place still stands.
Vocals. Yeah, the karaoke bar.
Yes. And we went with Pat Patterson. It was me, Pat Patterson, and The Rock. And we, you know, Pat comes in and he's like, listen, guys, I got this bar, you know, it's gonna be you're gonna love it, trust me, you'll love it. And we're like, okay. And you know, it's gonna be me, you, the Duds are gonna come, you know, the Rocky will be there, you know, it'll be great. I was like, okay, Pat, not a problem. And we went there, and I mean, I'm telling you, we had the time of our lives. We were drinking Jack Daniels and freaking doing karaoke. I think Rock did Heartbreak Hotel. Pat Patterson did Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World. Bubba did Johnny Be Bad, or Johnny Be Good, I'm sorry. And I did Prince, When Doves Cry. And then we all finished off the night with YMCA.
I can just imagine being a fan walking into a bar and then just seeing the Dudleys, Pat Patterson, and The Rock just up there. Just
That's exactly what we were doing. It was a great time, man. It really was a great time. And that place is still going, huh?
I think it is. And I think that Pat actually was part of the ownership of Vocals, if I'm not mistaken.
Because every single time we were in Montreal, we would hit up Pat. We go to Vocals. Shy. We go to Vocals after, and we had fun. It got to the point where some of the boys would hear about it, and they were following us there. One time, just about everybody who was everybody showed up at Vocals one day after the show in Montreal, and then the fans got wind that we were going there, and everybody stopped going.
Oh wow,
that's a shame. So you're actually running a wrestling school now with Bubba, if I'm not mistaken, in Orlando.
No. Bubba has his school in Connecticut, and I am in Winter Park, literally 2 to 3 minutes away from the Performance Center.
Yeah,
it's called.
Sorry,
it's It's DDA, Devon Dudley Academy.
That's it. Okay, yeah, because I remember hearing that you were also running another one, Team 3D training.
Yeah, that was the one that.
Yeah,
that was back in the day. That was the one we had together. But like I said, he's in Connecticut now. He has his, and I have mine right in Florida.
Do you guys still keep in touch, you and Bubba?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we talk here and there, not as much as we used to, but we still do here and there.
So now that Edge and Christian have seemingly come out of retirement, is there any chance we're going to see a rekindling of the Dudleys versus Edge and Christian for old time's sake?
No, the Dudleys are done. We're done. It's over. It was a good run, and I think we should move on and leave the Dudleys alone. Rest in peace, Dudley Boyz.
I mean, for what it's worth, you did have like one of the greatest tag team runs of all time. I think for me, up there with the LOD.
The greatest. They were tag team champions everywhere.
9-time WWE, 24 total, I believe, together. Tag team titles.
24 together, yeah.
Yeah, so I think you guys are definitely up there, like if not a little, just edged out the Road Warriors in terms of greatest tag teams of all time, in my opinion, and I'm assuming Jeremy's as well.
Oh, easily the greatest tag. They have the accomplishments to justify it. WWE tag titles, WCW tag team titles, ECW tag titles, NWA tag titles, if I'm not mistaken, as well. TNA tag titles. They've done it all when it comes to tag team wrestling, and everywhere they've been on top as a team. Which brings me to actually another interesting turn in your career, which was Aces and Eights, which is something that we kind of have in common because, believe it or not, we actually still have an Aces and Eights chapter here in Quebec wrestling.
Do you really?
No word of a lie. And I recently, as recently as COVID times could allow, because I think it was about a year ago, I defeated Wes Briscoe, who Wes was also part of the Aces and Eights, and he was still carrying on the gimmick. And I beat him not only for the Canadian Championship, but I also beat him for the leadership of the Aces and Eights. So I'm actually the president here. I got my patch for the Quebec branch. With that said, since we are part of a same unit here, what were your memories of Aces and Eights? What was that like for you?
It was great. It gave me a chance to feel what an actual actor felt like. And why I say that is because I don't know anything about the biker world or anything. I was in love with the television show, Sons of Anarchy. And so when I was told about maybe possibly being in this fashion with them, I was like, okay, let me go watch that movie, television show. And I wound up falling in love with it. And to the point where I would study their characters. Just like actors do to get ready for a role, I really did try to study every little thing that the bikers did in that thing, just to try to make sure that there was some realism to what I was doing, in this thing. And I think I did a damn good job of it.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I really enjoyed that Aces and Eights run, and it's as funny as it is that I get to say I was kind of a part of it here. It definitely made for some great TV. I think at a time where TNA was, maybe trying to come up with some kind of a new idea to hook people in. I loved how Aces and Eights played out. How some people were masked. You didn't know who the leader was. It was, it may have been the last great storyline that they did because, I'm thinking about it and I kind of stopped watching shortly after that, after Bubba had his title reign. I think it was a great gimmick, and I think it was a great vehicle to definitely catapult Bubba into the main event picture too.
Yeah, like I said, I was hoping that it was going to work in a different outcome with me, but TNA and I had a disagreement with the contract, and I wind up walking away.
No, it was definitely good storytelling. That's what actually got me back into TNA. I had stopped watching for a bit, and then my buddy had mentioned, he's like, "Hey, you like Sons of Anarchy, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "Yeah, go check out TNA." And pleasantly surprised, here's D-VON and Bubba, or Bully Ray at the time, as the Aces and Eights with this sick biker group, and I was like, "Wow, this is better than WWE." What they were putting out at the time. So, no, it was very good.
And now that we mentioned, another interesting match that comes to mind from a little bit before that was when Hulk Hogan came in, and they had you guys work a program with the Nasty Boys. And I got to ask on your end, what was that like for you and Bubba working with the Nasty Boys?
Well, I didn't have a problem with the Nasty Boys. I got along with them. I just know that they weren't in shape, and this is where the bickering between TNA and I had, because we were locked into a deal with Japan. TNA had promised Japan and everything that they were going to use us in a certain way, and they were okay with it. So when you tell a Japanese something, they take it as honor. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden Hogan comes in and Dixie says, "Oh, we want you guys to work the Nasty Boys." And we're like, "When?" "Well, we want you to come back to the States." And we're like, "We're in Japan." They gave us the belts to come back to the U.S. and defend them over here in the U.S. And they even allowed us to drop them to the British invasion. And we got them back by the time we went back to Japan. But, they allowed us to do all of that. And it's almost like they were screwing the Japanese, like they didn't care. They just wanted somebody to work the Nasty Boys. They didn't care about the relationship that they were causing, the rift between TNA and Japan. And I just remember saying, "This is not right. This is wrong." And I knew, when you screw over the Japanese, that ain't good, because they don't forget. They don't forget. And sure enough, they told TNA that we were going to use the Dudleys. And I think this was sometime in December. We're going to use the Dudleys from the time they come back in January to May. We had a program we want to do with them. And of course, we said yes. And then all of a sudden we had to say no, because TNA wanted us to work the Nasty Boys. And I just remember being pissed and saying, "We're never going to go back to Japan." I said, New Japan is pissed. So we had to drop the belts and go out. And I just remember it was just bad. It was just bad business. And that was just one of the reasons why I was pissed off with the powers to be at TNA at the time, because it cost us a boatload of money, and for something that didn't even last just for the pay-per-view, and it shouldn't even happen, because Knobs wasn't ready to be in that ring. Neither one of them were ready to be in that ring at the time. And I think they just threw him in because they were, Hogan's buddies.
Yeah. Like I had said, around that time, I was, doing a lot of tryouts with TNA. I was really trying to get my foot in the door. That was my main goal. And I became good friends with a lot of the guys there. And one of the things that struck me as being at so many events was it seemed like there was a lot of, I'd almost call it almost like a civil war. Like you had guys who were Hogan's boys, and then you had guys who were, part of the Jarrett, Russo kind of side of things, who had been there before, and then other guys came in. What was it like in the locker room? Was there a sense of, maybe two factions in terms of the people who were in with certain people in management?
I just think at that time, a lot of people were discouraged because they didn't know who was the boss, who was giving the orders. They didn't know anything. It just seemed like it was anarchy. It felt like WCW, when what was going on over there at the time. Nobody knew who was the boss, who was anything. You hear one thing from one person, then you go out there and do it, and then you get another opinion, you get something from somebody else. It's like, okay, who's in charge? Who's running this place? Who do I go to if I have, a problem, or if I don't like something? Who do I go to? You just didn't know. And I think that was the problem.
Because I got to say, I think that at that time, if you looked at the guys who were in TNA compared to the guys who were in WWE, I would say TNA had the superior talent in terms of star
back then,
power.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I always said that. I always said that TNA so dropped the ball. They had no idea what they had. They had no idea what they had. And they so dropped the ball. But again, that's the powers to be, not the TNA of nowadays. That's the TNA of back when I was there.
Yeah. Since nowadays it's Impact Wrestling, it's a different ownership, management. And, you know, even I was kind of caught in the crossfire there too. Me being Canadian, they had outright told me, you know, we don't hire Canadians. Even though I did the gut checks and D'Lo Brown loved me, Jeff Jarrett loved me. Unfortunately, they weren't running the show at the time. Seemed like it was more Hogan and Bischoff. So that was my story with them, was they weren't hiring Canadians. Which is a thing that's true, is that, you know, it's harder for us here in Canada because we can't legally go work in the States. You know, we need a work visa, and even just getting that, it's, you know, probably going to cost 10 grand and a ton of time. But, you know, hopefully, you know, now times are changed, whether with Impact, other companies, they're going to hopefully look at Canada. And I know this doesn't have too much to do with you. It's just something that's kind of been my, you know, my kind of crusade here, is to help get better scouting for Canada. It's what I talked about with TJ Wilson when we had him on the show. Are you involved in the scouting process at all with WWE? Do you have a direct line to the Canyon Siemens and the powers that be?
Well, I mean, if I had talent that I thought that was worthy enough to take a look at, I would contact them, email them, and say, hey, listen, you check out this guy, and, you know, go from there.
Do you offer, you know, like mentorship, like we kind of see Lance Storm doing that? He's putting himself out there, allowing people to send some stuff. Do you offer that as well?
Yeah, but it's kind of hard though, because you got a lot of crazies out there that like to send in stuff that is like, are you serious? You really want me to tell you about this? And, you know, it's like, you have no idea. So I haven't even put it out there. And some of the things I get is kind of like, it's out there. It is out there. I had one tape that was giving me some girl. She was demon possessed and she had powers and she was causing things to rise. And I'm just like, why? Stop. Just please stop.
So guys, think before you send Devon any tapes, okay? Just take a day. Take a day, please. Save the man some grief.
Send them all to Bubba in Connecticut.
We'll add his P.O. box at the end of the episode. You can just send all the tapes to Bubba. Leave Devon alone, damn it.
That's pretty good. It's making me feel less self-conscious about my own performances, hearing that's you know, where the bar is kind of set these days.
Don't be weird. That's how I got to see it. So, what I got to ask is, where can we find you on from social medias, Instagram, Twitter? Where can everybody look you up?
On Instagram, I am Testify Devon, and my the wrestling school is DVON Academy, DDA. I'm also on Twitter at Testify Devon, and my Facebook is private with just my family members. But other than that, that's about it. And you know, again, if you're ready to become a professional wrestler and you think you got what it takes, give us a call at DDA. 407 is the area code. Hold on, I gotta remember. We just got the number changed.
we can put it in.
Yes,
in
put it
post
in there.
production.
Okay. Yeah. Put it in there. Put it in there, and you know, give us a call if you're serious and you're ready to do this. You know, don't go to somebody who you feel that will lie to you or tell you what you want to hear just because you want to be a wrestler that bad. Find a reputable school with a reputable person that's been somewhere so you can absorb the knowledge, because you cannot, I repeat, you cannot get anywhere with somebody who hasn't been there. So why would you take the chances and go over there and do that when there's no way in hell? If he couldn't get himself in, he definitely ain't getting you in or helping you out. If he didn't have the knowledge to get himself in the door or even get a tryout or looked at or what have you, then what is he going to do for you? Find a reputable school. You got myself in Winter Park. You have Booker T in Texas. You have Rikishi on the West Coast in California. And I'm not sure if Lance reopened his school again.
No, he's offering coaching right now. I mean, we're dealing with COVID pretty hard in Canada. It's you know, we see some places now, like Texas is reopening up. Florida's doing a great job of crushing the curve. But we're under serious restrictions here in Canada. We actually have the strictest restriction in our part of Canada, in Quebec, of all of North America. So we're pretty much we got a curfew at 8 o'clock. We can't be out on the streets, or we're facing a $6,000 fine if you're caught outside and you're non-essential.
It's hilarious. We have the strictest regulations for COVID, but we are also nominated as the worst province in Canada for handling COVID.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
You guys.
We're number one.
It's we like I personally haven't been in the ring in it's going to be a year in a couple of weeks. And most of Canada, there's no wrestling going on. We're just trying to deal with this, trying to roll with the punches and make the most of it, and hopefully, you know, stay in shape and stay relevant, even though no shows are going on, gyms are locked down, restaurants are locked down, and we got to be in by 8 o'clock because of a lot of government infighting here. You know, we got a prime minister who's trying to do the job, but then we also got a premier, which is kind of like a governor here in our province that doesn't really like the prime minister. So there's a lot of infighting, and the people are the ones paying for it, unfortunately. But hopefully we can see that light at the end of the tunnel, and we'll be able to get back to where we were, you know, a year ago.
Thank you so much, man. Wow. WWE Hall of Famer, 9-time WWE Tag Team Champion, 24 tag team titles worldwide.
Easily the greatest tag team of all time. I say it again and again and again. All those titles they had, WCW, WWE, ECW, IWGP, TNA. There will not be a team that will be able to surpass the accomplishments of the Dudleys, a lot of which was Devon, who was gracious enough to grace us with his presence on this episode. And, you know, man, it was entertaining, and I learned so much, and I hope you learned a thing or two as well.
Testify.
Like most notably, respect. Respect for those who came before you.
I'm older than you.
So what? Is it the beauty before age?
Listen, son, let the grown-ups take this one. And with that, remember, wrestling is life.
You touch me again, I'm going to charge you for that.